Before we get into this special weekend edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Michael and Dell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. We love to spotlight upstate businesses and what they're doing in our community. Today's guest is one of my favorite, primarily because I have a huge sweet tooth, and many of you know that. One of my biggest challenges when I was on PhD Weight Loss and as I continued their maintenance program was my love of dessert. And let me tell you, one of my favorites, bundt cake from Nothing Bundt Cake, and they have made it a lot easier for those of us who live in Greer with their brand new store on Wade Hampton Boulevard in Taylor's. With me today, Diane Hardy, one of the partners in Nothing Bundt Cakes in the Greenville area. Welcome, Diane. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on today, Joey.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you. So how's business at the new store?
Well, it's going great. We have a really good team, which I am just thrilled about. You know, that's whenever you open a business, that's the most critical piece of it. And I'm really happy with our new team. We opened on December 20th, which I definitely would not recommend, but we got through it. So,
take a minute, Diane, and share with our listeners your story and how you became an owner of a bakery in Greenville and some of the challenges that you faced there.
Yeah, well, you know, my background, I had no background really in baking per se. I was a trained nurse anesthetist and then a stay-at-home mom, and I just fell in love with this bundt cake that I had when I was out of state. And I took a picture of the logo, and I just came back to Greenville, and I'm like, I want to buy one of these cakes. And I thought for sure we would have one here, and we didn't. So they had them at the time. I think they had them in Atlanta and Charlotte, but so I shockingly just looked into buying the franchise and did that instead. And it's just been fantastic adventure. That was, almost 10 years ago now. And we went for a month of training. My manager and I, who is still with me, we still have our same manager and assistant manager since the day we opened.
Wow.
at the Greenville store.
Yeah.
And so it's been quite an adventure. But one of the things that was really shocking to me was how difficult it is to open a small business, especially in the city of Greenville. There were some, the regulations were mostly some from the state, but mostly from the city, city and state, DHEC and all. It was really difficult to get our doors open.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuck with me. And later I wanted to do something to help small businesses, which I now have the time to do. But yeah, so we opened the first store in Greenville in 2016. And then we just opened Greer. We're right across from Target. And it's just really been a great experience. And we have a fantastic team.
Yep. Well, and as I said earlier, I just fell in love with the bundt cakes as well. It's kind of interesting because my family, we had been coming to your store over at Verde for a long time because it was sort of the go-to when we were having a family holiday, a family birthday, anniversary, or whatever. We just always got a bundt cake, and then you and I happened to meet a few years ago. And we've just have been big fans of what you do as well. And we're going to talk a minute about, you're talking about your challenges in opening a business that also led you to forming the Mom and Pop Alliance of South Carolina. You and your husband, Jim, have done a great job with that. And we're going to get that in just a minute. With me today, Diane Hardy, one of the owners of Nothing Bundt Cakes. She has a location at Verde and one now in Greer on Wade Hampton Boulevard. So let's talk about that for a minute. When you started thinking of expanding, walk us through that thought process. At what point did you know that you're ready for another location, and how did you choose the Greer-Taylors area?
Yeah, so we thought we were ready for another location, and we really were looking at Easley and Anderson, and then started looking at Greer and decided that Greer was just a perfect community for it. We feel that Greer is really growing, and we just happened to get a good location right across from Target. And so we decided to not do Easley and go to Greer for now. I mean, we may expand into other areas, but we really thought that Greer was a perfect fit.
Yeah, well, and look, I am so happy that you chose Greer, because it's so much more convenient for me now. Peg and I live over in the GSP area, and it's just so much easier for us to go to the Greer store. And, I mean, it's exactly 18 minutes from my house, and I've timed it.
Oh, well, see, that weighed into our decision. I was like, okay, so which would work best for Joey Hudson?
There you go.
And that's where we need to put it.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, too, I want to publicly thank you. You're so supportive of so many things in our community, and that's what small business is all about. I mean, recently I was fortunate to be included in the Junior Achievement Charity Golf Tournament. The Junior Achievement is a great organization. I've supported them for years, and you helped us with some buntinis, the little small bunt cakes, which I love, for all the golfers out there, and we were able to meet a lot of people, and just thank you for your support of organizations like Junior Achievement and so many others that you help.
Yes, we try and we get a lot of requests, so we can't do it all, but I always try and do a little something. We do a lot of course, tons of silent auctions if anybody needs a certificate for that, and really do try and help the community in a lot of different ways. And then I personally am trying to help the community with the starting of the Mom and Pop Alliance, which we'll get into. But
sure. What would you say, Diane, is one of the biggest challenges that a small business owner faces today if he or she starts a business?
Yeah, the regulations are definitely way up there because there are so many. So that is probably one of the biggest challenges. And then, of course, just finding a good supportive team and finding great help. Yeah. And we've like I said, we've been lucky in that department.
Yeah. And you expressed a minute ago some of the challenges that you had. What'd you say, 10 years ago when you started your first location at Verde, and that led you to start thinking about helping small businesses, and that led to the Mom and Pop Alliance of South Carolina. It's a pro small business advocacy group. You founded it during COVID to help empower South Carolina small businesses. And look, you've just kind of you've taken on a lot of legislative issues. You're in Columbia a lot. Talk with us about how the two go hand in hand, your role as a business owner and your role as the founder of Mom and Pop Alliance.
Yes, I just think that we business owners are so busy that we don't really have a time to really pay attention to what's happening in Columbia. Yet we learned from COVID that what happens there really can impact us and also with the regulations in so many different ways. So we thought it was very important. My husband and I talked about it when we realized that there wasn't a lot of representation for small business in Columbia. It's over 430,000 small businesses in our state. And, we tend to be very focused on, landing the big corporations and the international corporations, and that's all fine. But small business sometimes, because they just are so busy running their businesses, get kind of forgotten at times in the State House. And we thought it was really important to have more organizations to give them a stronger voice. So we started this during COVID, and in fact, we're coming up. Our first member joined in August of 2020, so we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary. And my husband and I don't do this for my business. My business is doing fine, so we're not advocating for ourselves or our business in any way. But we do think, we've been working on the tort reform to help the bars and restaurants recently. We've liked to look at the income tax bills and help explain that to small business owners so they'll know how it will impact them, because the bills are really complex, and we have a team that helps us go through those. And so we just think it's really important to help educate small business owners and be their voice when we go down to Columbia often to do that.
Yeah. And what would you say overall your acceptance has been? How have the legislators, do they embrace what Mom and Pop is doing? It would seem to me like they would be happy to hear from people who can talk for small businesses around the country. But how have they? How's the reception been?
It's been pretty good overall. We were working on one issue years back called ESG. It was an environmental social justice scoring system that was placed on big business that was starting to trickle down to small business, and that they weren't as comfortable talking about because they didn't want to do anything that could hurt South Carolina recruiting big business. But overall, they are very receptive, and of course, it helps. We have this signature popcorn that's really delicious. It's this white chocolate popcorn, and we bring it. I think you've had it before, Joe.
I have.
We bring it to all 170. Well, that helps. I mean, we bring that to all 170 legislators to their offices. And so we've been able to form those relationships with them, and they have wanted to hear, especially with the tort reform, what's happening. And so they've been overall very receptive. And of course, the popcorn, bringing that always helps.
Well, it gets their attention and kind of sweetens the deal there a bit. You mentioned tort reform, because I know you have been very active with that legislation. And yes, a bill was passed this past session. The governor signed it into law that should bring some relief to the bar and taverns, the convenience stores, but there's still a lot of work to do on tort reform, right?
Well, there definitely is. I mean, we wanted so much more. We represent all types of businesses, not just bars and restaurants, although we do, we represent them too. And so we really wanted a broader bill that would help all businesses have more protections from unfair lawsuits. And that is the part where it does get a little sticky, because we do have a lot of lawyers in the legislature. So, we have to tread carefully with some of this, but we do need to point out that small businesses do need greater protection from what I consider some of these unfair lawsuits. And so we would like to have much more expanded, not just bars and restaurants. And the Senate bill last year, we liked that Senate bill. It was S-244, and we plan to start this session in January pushing again for that bill. That bill is still there.
Yeah.
So we can pick that back up, and it's gained, more support with time as people have learned more about this issue, and that it impacts not just bars and restaurants, but other types of businesses too.
Yeah. With me today, Diane Hardy. Diane is the founder of the Mom and Pop Alliance of South Carolina. You can find out additional information at momandpopalliance.org. If you are a small business owner, or if you just support businesses, you need to be a member. So go to momandpopalliance.org. I am a member and proud to be so. And also, Diane is a small business owner. She is one of the partners of Nothing Bundt Cakes, with 2 locations, one in Verde in Greenville, and their new location over in the Greer-Taylors area on Wadehampton Boulevard. Now, Diane, you recently expanded Mom and Pop into 2 organizations. Talk with us about the significance of the need for separating your organization.
Yes, so we felt the need to, if we're going to be down there giving popcorn to legislators, we're not true lobbyists, but we want to be sure that we are always above board and everything is legal. So we've separated into 2 organizations. We are now a 501c3, and that is the Mom and Pop Alliance, and that's the educational piece. We, educate our members about the bills, and then we travel the state. And so the Mom and Pop Alliance is now a nonprofit, so people can donate tax-free on our website, momandpopalliance.org. And every penny goes towards operating expenses, because neither myself nor my husband, we do not take a salary for our work. And so that is the nonprofit organization. And then we have Mom and Pop Advocacy, and that is the organization that goes down and brings the popcorn and speaks to the legislators and all. So, it's technically a registered lobbyist, but I really would prefer advocacy, since no one's making any money on this. So That's the advocacy arm. So we have the education arm and the advocacy arm.
Yeah. Diane, looking forward, and you mentioned tort reform, and that's something you're going to continue to work on. Talk with us about other issues that you may be looking for next session.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to be watching these income tax bills closely. We wrote an article, not really in favor of the most recent bill, but we're going to be following. They've made some changes. We're going to be following that. We really would like to see. We have concerns about overruns on the budget, and also exposing maybe money spent to agencies and given to large corporations. Just making sure that small businesses are considered when when we're making state policy overall.
Yep. Diane Hardy, always a pleasure. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for what you do with Mom and Pop, but especially thank you for baking those bundt cakes.
Oh, well, you're so welcome. We have new flavors coming up, quite often, and so people need to stop in and try. You can just get a little small one, like a little buntlet, and try out the new flavors. So, and we also have 2 really delicious gluten-free, if anyone is gluten-free. So, definitely worth stopping in, especially the new location across from Target.
Yep, and you can find out information there, too, at nothingbunttcakes.com. Just search for the Greenville or Greer location. Diane, thank you again.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on, Joey. Bye-bye.
Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. myphdweightloss.com. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Let me share a couple of stats with you. 13 is the average age that teens first use drugs and alcohol. That's pretty disturbing. And get this, 9 out of 10 addiction issues start in the teen years. That's the problem. Now, there is a solution, and it's called RIZE Prevention. It's a great program, a nonprofit here in the upstate. And what if I told you that teens, 85% of the students who participate in the RIZE Prevention program say that they would like to be drug-free? With us today on our guest line, Martine Halou Allen, who is the founder and executive director of RIZE Prevention. Martine, it's always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you today.
Well, thank you for what you do. Let's talk about it. And I see where 72%, and I'm getting this from your website, 72% of teens turn to drugs before high school graduation. That number should bother everyone who is listening to us today. Let's talk about the problem first, and then let's get into what you guys are doing to solve that problem.
Sure. So yes, that's it. 72% of teens who are going through something. Listen, kids, when they're young, they think with their emotions, right? And so in order for them to feel better, they turn to different things that are, unfortunately, many of which are destructive. And so what you see is that number is a reflection, not of kids that are necessarily addicted and can't go a day without using substances, but those are teens that have turned to substances and are experimenting with that before they graduate high school. And so what we're seeing is that this is coinciding also with the rise in anxiety and mental health issues among young people. And a lot of times people don't understand that drug use and substance use is actually a mental health issue. It's just coming out as drug usage, whereas there's other behaviors like self-harm, like pornography, gambling is also on the rise. So at RIZE, we talk about the drugs, but we also talk about the other addictions that could come along with it. And so you're seeing that kids they're not able to cope. They don't know how to cope. They're not self-regulating. And so they're turning to self-medicating with drug use and other addictive behaviors.
Wow. I'd never thought about the other addiction issues out there. And I guess it's just so different now than when I was a kid. We didn't have the internet like we do today and weren't exposed to so many things. And, Martine, I just can't get the idea out of my head that 13-year-olds are using drugs at times.
Joey, try this. We've got 4th graders that are vaping.
Wow.
We're already being asked by elementary schools to go and give our program because they're starting to see this. among elementary school students.
Yeah.
I went and I did a presentation at a local elementary school here last year. And it was just a career day thing that I went, and I love doing that kind of stuff. And when I talked about what I did, there were a couple boys in one of the classes that started crying and told me that they had been vaping.
Wow.
And see, it was shocking to me. And more than that, it was heartbreaking
Yeah.
to think that they didn't get that out until, some lady with a drug prevention, addiction prevention program came to their school for career day. So imagine how many other kids are silently struggling.
Yeah. Wow. Martine, for decades now, we've talked about eliminating drug abuse. I mean, you can go back to the 80s and First Lady Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign. Have we made any progress, or do you think it's worse today than it was back then?
The evidence has shown that we have not really made progress. The evidence has shown that the Just Say No approach and the old DARE approach did not work, because that's not how you influence decision making and changing behavior among young people. We also have a different kind of environment where there is so much more accessibility to substances. And you've got people that are manufacturers that have figured out the loopholes to being able to put things out on the market that are absolutely addictive, okay, but yet don't have any, policies related to them. Like, for instance, Delta 8. Delta 8 is considered Delta 9, Delta 10. You can have that in a store. There's no problem with that because it doesn't become active as a drug until you heat it.
Yeah. All right.
So there's a lot of different things there on the market that basically, are there available, and there's no policies related to them.
All right. Go into a little more detail on that, because honestly, I don't know what Delta 8 is. What is Delta 8?
So it's a form of like marijuana that is sort of engineered in a way to where it's still legal in its pure form.
Yeah.
So basically people are smoking Delta 8, Delta 9, 10, or they're putting it in their vapes. And so that does not become active, and the THC is not released unless it's heated.
Okay.
So it's basically like marijuana, but just in a different form.
Wow. On our guest line today, Martine Allen is with us. She is the founder and executive director of RIZE Prevention, a great organization. We're going to talk a little more about RIZE Prevention and what they're doing, because, Martine, we've kind of talked about the problem here, and it is a disturbing problem. And again, anyone who has kids, grandkids, or anyone just concerned, this has to trouble you to know that this is going on in our schools and in our community. But you have a solution to this, and your organization has been very successful, RIZE Prevention. Talk about your program and what you're doing to break this cycle.
Sure. So my program is all about the innovative way to approach drug and addiction prevention among youth. We looked and we researched and we studied about what wasn't working. But then we also did the research about what does work. And so what RIZE Prevention has essentially made and created is the iRIZE program, which is a school-based comprehensive drug and addiction prevention program for youth that focuses on how young people make decisions, what influences their behavior. And so therefore, what we learned is that you can't just approach kids with a curriculum and say, okay, this is what marijuana does to you. This is what vaping, this is what alcohol does to you, and expect that, right, to change their behavior. That's not what motivates them to do what they do. What motivates them is having their emotional needs met. What motivates them is how do they deal with past trauma? How do they deal with adverse childhood experiences in a constructive way, right? That's what we're trying to do. In addition, teens make decisions based on their peers. So we know that we can't just have a program that deals only with changing individual behavior. We had to come up with a program that will also change the cultural norm in their community. And kids' communities at the end of the day are their schools.
Yeah.
And so how do we do that simultaneously? So that's what iRIZE is about. And we focus very, very strongly on the mentorship aspect of changing behavior. So people want to be loved and valued. People want to feel like they belong. People want somebody ultimately to believe in
Yeah.
them. And so that's what motivates decision making. And so when you get that trust in the relationship with those kids to get down to the heart of what's bothering them, right? What they're self medicating, then you have a very, very high chance of changing the behavior or preventing that behavior from starting by getting to the root of why they do what they do.
Yeah. My guest today is Martine Allen, the executive director of RIZE Prevention. I think back to when I was in school. It's a long time ago. We won't talk about how long.
Me too.
But you're so right. You always have the cool kids in the school, and so that mentoring approach, I can see how that would be very effective if you have some influencers who just say, look, drugs, alcohol is just not cool anymore.
Yes. And you know what? The funny thing is that kids are just shocked when they see that most of them are not
Yeah.
participating in these behaviors. And what's really nice is that we're in schools, we start in the 6th grade, then we do another version of our program in 7th grade, and then another one in 8th grade. So when we get into a school, these kids have us for 3 years. What is so beautiful for us is when the 8th graders who had our program starting in 6th grade come to us and say, how can I help you in communicating to the 6th graders?
Yeah.
And so they become like our internal ambassadors, if you would, for our program. And then we also have high schoolers that come from the high schools that, feed are
Sure.
fed to by those middle schools. And then they come back and they're pouring in to these young people. And so what we're seeing is that, yes, indeed, we are gathering the data that we are changing what is considered culturally acceptable and socially normal in the schools where we are. And of course, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do and what's happening is that we are fostering an environment where the opinion of young people is trending toward, I don't do drugs. I'm not going to get involved in these addictive behaviors because I'm more self-aware. And I know that having those behaviors come into my life is, number one, not going to help me. And number two, is going to keep me from achieving my purpose in this life. So that's what we're really cultivating here at the schools. And the other thing that's happening simultaneously, which science has proven that this is true, that correlation between abstaining from drug use and addiction is having a very positive effect on increasing academic engagement of students. It is decreasing the truancy, decreasing the suspensions and violence. So it's a win-win all over.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. For additional information on this great program, visit their website, rizeprevention.org, rizeprevention.org. Of course, it has all the details of what they're doing in the schools. And also you can see how you can support this program too, because it does cost money for these programs, and Martine and her team could certainly use your support. How many schools are you presently active in, Martine?
So going into the 25-26 school year, we will be in 21 schools.
Wow.
And we have schools on the waiting list. So I may take on 24.
Yeah.
It depends on if I can get the staff to do that and to handle that because of how we split into teams, because we're in schools for 4 months at a time, Joey.
Yeah.
It's not just a one and done presentation. So we have teams of liaisons that are dedicated to those students, which, works, but it also, like you said, takes money
Sure.
in supporting that kind of interaction with kids. And yes, we do need the public support. We have unfortunately lost some earmarked appropriation funding this year. And, it's not lost on me that the government can't fix this problem. I know that. Law enforcement can't fix this problem. It's our communities that need to fix this problem. So we would love to engage the community in helping us to provide youth with this program and make sure that every school that wants our program gets our program.
Yeah, as it should be. I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking when you said you're in 21, possibly 24, I'm thinking, why is this not in every school?
Yeah, that's, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's because our model is so innovative that schools just, they don't know, they're not sure like how to implement it. They've got a lot of pressures on them just from the curriculum standpoint, curricular standpoint of having to achieve all of these academic benchmarks, that I think that they want to hear from their colleagues about how well this program does and how much the work they don't have to put into it. That's very easy to implement. And honestly, Joey, that's how we've been able to spread so fast.
Yeah.
We've only been working. We started in June of 21, so that means August of 21. We started with only 4 schools.
Yeah.
Look where we are now, and it is because of that word of mouth from principals and administration about our program to their colleagues that is really the reason why we've grown so much.
Yeah. Martine Halou-Allen is executive director, founder of RIZE Prevention. If what you have heard today, if you think this is important and you would like for your child's school or your grandchild's school to have this, check with the school, check with Martine's. You can reach her through her website, rizeprevention.org. And Martine, let's say there's a parent who's listening today and they find out that their school, their child's school does not have your program. How could they potentially see that they do get the program?
Well, they've got to advocate to the principal and administration for that and just say, this is important to us. We need this. But the other thing that we do outside of giving our program to schools, let's say that there's a parent that, has a child who's in need. We do certified one-on-one coaching with kids who either need early prevention or something has happened to where proactive intervention is necessary. We serve everyone. So you don't have to be in a school where we're at in order to get our one-on-one coaching. And Joey, we are good at that, especially when parents are not afraid to say, you know what, my kid has a problem. Because you know what, your kid's not the only one. And the most dangerous thing that parents can say is not my child.
Right. Exactly.
We live in a world today where you do not have that luxury of saying that. In addition, we do a lot of things throughout the summer as well. We do a lot of things throughout the school year, different activities. So do get on our social media because you can see other opportunities for your students to get connected with our team and be poured into in a great way, be positively influenced. Even if we're not at your school, we got plenty of things that are available for you and your child.
Well, and if someone... obviously, you need donations, you need the financial support, but if someone would like to be involved too, I mean, is there an opportunity for volunteers as well?
Yes, there are opportunities for volunteers. We can have volunteers to help us go and fundraise. We can have volunteers that help us schedule different presentations. Rotary clubs have been so amazing for us. Just that volunteer of connecting us with others that could help us, even if it's somebody that wants for us to come into their community. And we've done plenty of presentations at like people's homes and at community clubhouses. That would be wonderful. Just helping us get more awareness out into the community about what we're doing. But more than that, to reach people who may need to hear our message because it could literally be life-saving and life-changing for them and their families.
Absolutely. Again, that website is rizeprevention.org. Go online, see the good work that Martine and her team are doing in our schools, and reach out to help, whether it's volunteer, financial support. If you'd like Martine to come speak to your group or your community or whatever, she or one of her team members would love to do that. Martine, thank you again for what you're doing in our community, and good luck to you in the coming school year.
Thank you so much, Joey. I appreciate you, because you have always been consistently supportive and a great encourager for me. So that matters. And I really thank you for using your platform for good and to bring awareness to organizations like mine who definitely need the public's help. But, you got to have a passion for people to do that. Exactly. And I really appreciate what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your kind words. It's always a pleasure, and we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you.
That's it for this special weekend edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com. And I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.